Alright, what's good YouTube? We're back. In this video we're going to show you the pros and cons for rent to rent if you're a landlord.
Let's go. If you're new here, we upload regular content to do with rent to rent and property. We've got no reason to sugarcoat anything, so we keep it 100% real, so consider subscribing. Okay, let's get straight into it then. Let's talk about the cons for the landlords.
In our opinion, there's three main pitfalls when it comes to rent for the landlord. First one being people with no knowledge.
So yeah, when we first started, we used to do a lot of viewings in HMOs. And we used to see, obviously, the empty ones, they've got letters all over the floor, which is normal because no one's picking up the post in there. But you always see the multicoloured envelopes that they tell you to do on like property training courses and stuff like that. Thing is, with a lot of them, there will just be people who are just fresh off of a training course. In most of the courses, they sort of pump you up and they tell you, take action now, think about the rest later. This is the fastest way to escape the 9 to 5. This is the easiest way to do it and the quickest and fastest way. So people just come off of these courses.
They sell you the dream and then they just get you all pumped up, and then you get so many people that are coming off these courses and sending out letters to landlords and their HMOs.
Yeah, so and half the time they've literally just spent 3 days even thinking about or talking about property, so that is one pitfall for them.
Right, don't get me wrong, I think it's great that people want to better their lives and change their lifestyles, get more money for their family, and think of the future. It's exactly what we're doing. At the end of the day, it is the landlord's asset, so don't be surprised if they're going to be grilling you with questions, asking about yourself, what your plans are, what your goals are.
Because they'll soon be able to find out if you're lying.
Yeah, so always keep it real, keep it 100% with them. Don't try hide anything, and a landlord would appreciate that more than you trying to lie to them to try and get a deal.
Pitfall number 2 of rent to rent for the landlord. It could breach the mortgage conditions. Most lenders will not allow subletting even if it's through a rent-to-rent contract. So you need to you don't have to, but you should really be finding out if their lender will agree with it.
Most people don't even bother finding this out, and to be honest, most people doing rent-to-rent are not even aware of this. Right, so it is the landlord's responsibility to be aware of this, and they should always check with the lender.
Yeah, so if the lender was to find out, that's your rent-to-rent thing over with the landlord, and plus you leave the landlord in quite a big mess. So it's definitely something to think about. Right, pitfall number 3, there could be no security for the landlord. So normally when you want to get a rent-to-rent deal for a letting agent, they want to see how much you're earning. You need to earn 3 times the annual rent. So if the rent is £2,000, they want to see you're earning £6,000 a month. That's if your company's brand new. If not, you're going to need a guarantor. Yeah, so a pitfall for the landlord in rent to rent is not asking for any proof or anything. So if you haven't found a deal through an estate agent and you're going direct to the landlord, they might not do the same reference checks and background checks as if they were going for
an agent.
If you can't get a guarantor, I don't think you should lie to the landlord about that, because you get found out anyway and it would just be bad for business. You just got to understand that it's completely within the landlord's right to grill you with hard questions like, if you don't get any tenants, how are you going to pay me rent? You might be able to say, oh look, I'll be able to get tenants, don't worry. But what if they say to you now,
what if you can't?
And if you literally cannot, what will you do? So you need to be prepared to be grilled.
Yeah, so you might think that we're just being harsh, but trust me, put yourself in the landlord's shoes. If it was your asset and you had some person saying that they're going to offer you a guaranteed rent, you're going to want to know that they can actually guarantee you that rent. Because the only thing that the landlords...
2 things that a landlord wants.
So number 1 is they want their rent to be paid, and they want their rent to be paid on time. And number 2 is they want their property to be in good condition.
That's all you've got to do, and that's all they care about. So they might ask you, have you got any other streams of income? Can you provide a guarantor? How can I trust you with my property? Can you prove anything that you've just told me? So they, be prepared.
Now, of course, everyone needs to start from somewhere, needs to be given a chance, but at the end of the day, it's down to the landlords and his own personal judgment on yourself and your business.
Yeah, the landlord's just going to go with his gut feeling at the end of the day.
Yeah, same way as if a landlord or if someone doing rent to rent was trying to get their rooms filled, you're going to go with your gut feeling with that tenant. It's the same thing when the landlord is choosing your company to manage his properties. Okay, so those are the pitfalls, in our opinion, for rent to rent. So the possible pitfalls for the landlords. What do you guys think? If there's anything else that you can think of, drop them in the comments. Right, so those were some of the cons. Now let's move on to some of the pros of rent to rent for the landlord.
Alright, so rent to rent for the landlord, if it's with the right company, can literally be amazing for them.
Right, let's go through some of the pros now.
Firstly, it's literally completely passive for the landlord on that particular property.
So what does that mean for them? Number one, no more stressing about voids.
So the company will have to pay the landlord an agreed amount, whether the property's full or whether it's empty. They have to pay it, it's guaranteed.
Right, so number two, no more dealing with tenants. The landlord will only have to deal with you and your company and not the tenants.
So that means no more marketing, no more finding tenants, no more referencing, no more move-ins, no more moving tenants out, no more arguments, no more phone calls in the middle of the night, and anything else that comes with it.
And if they're already getting that through a letting agent, then it just means that it's no more hidden fees or costs for them, as the rent-to-rent company will cover that.
Another benefit of rent-to-rent for the landlord is the company will normally do a light refurb just to bring it up to the right standard for their tenants and clients. So here's some pictures of a project we did, well, our last project for a landlord that we're currently working with.
So basically, rent to rent can be a very good form of passive income for the landlords, but there are pitfalls that you need to be aware of.
So what can you do to get a landlord on side with you and want to work with you? Number one rule is just be honest with them.
So put yourself in a landlord's shoes. If I owned a HMO and I wanted a rent to rent company to manage it, what would I do?
So I would just set up a meeting with them. I'd probably have some coffee with them, look them straight in the eyes, and just completely grill them with questions. Address the elephant in the room, ask them the hard question. So how are you going to pay the rent? Have you got other streams of income that you'd be able to cover with it? I'd just ask them questions that I think would make a faker crumble. So yeah, so you've got to be aware of that.
Yeah, so the landlord will soon know if you've just come off like a get-rich-quick course or a property training course.
Yeah. They'll suss it out straight away, landlords, and not stupid, Yeah, so when you're talking to the landlord, you just want to be honest. You've got to just tell them your plan, what you want to do with the property.
How it will benefit them, and if it's not going to benefit them, you can say to them what a better option for them would be. So it's always good to...
It's better for future business.
Yeah, so even if you don't actually get the deal yourself, you can always help them, point them in the right direction.
And if you want to keep doing business with that landlord, you want to make sure that you're being completely honest with them the whole way through, because then they'll like you and trust you and probably give you more properties.
So rent to rent is a business. So you've got to treat it like a business. So be prepared if a landlord's going to be asking you questions like, what is your plans in the future? Are you going to look to grow? I mean, if your goal is to just get one rent to rent deal, quit your job and then go live in Spain, and
if the landlord says, why do you want to take over my property? Why do you want to do this? Why are you setting up this company? And you start saying, well, because I need to be financially free. I don't really want to work. So feel like this is the easiest way to not do any work. You might just be like, what the heck, just get out of here.
Rent to rent is a business, so you need to treat it like a business. You need to be looking to grow. You don't want to just get a couple deals and then think you've made it now and live off in another country. It's not like that.
So always imagine you're literally wearing the landlord's shoes. What would they be thinking? Would you trust you with the property? Well, you probably think you would, but would you trust someone with the exact same CV as you? Just you got to make sure
you're willing to do whatever it takes to make it work,
and just be honest, because you'll get found out straight away.
Mm-hmm.
So hope you found that helpful. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment,
smash up the likes as always. Smash up the likes. Comment below. What do you want to see next?
Hit the bell.
Yeah. I think it's about time you hit that like button as well. And all of you watching this video, that are not subscribed,
Yeah, I've got your number, mate.